I'm Anne from Eco Birmingham. Nice to meet you all. And today is the last session of our Spring into Action series, which is part of our environmental community learning program. And this one is aimed at community organizations across Birmingham who would like to get a bit more greener, environmentally friendly, and also to engage their staff, visitors, service users into more greener and healthier lifestyles. So we've had past session around energy, around cycling, and yesterday around energy. These will be available shortly on YouTube if you've missed these, and they were really good. So you might want to pick up this one when they are published on our YouTube channel, on the Eco Birmingham's YouTube channel. And I'm going to share my screen now and start the presentation. So let's have a look. Yeah, share. Here we go. Let's make it maybe a bit bigger. All right, can everybody see that? Wonderful. All right, so the environmental community learning is, as I was saying, Eco Birmingham's new program where we have funding to bring support to community organization across Birmingham to get a bit greener. So, and we can help them with a step-by-step environmental action plan. So throughout 1 year, so looking at it would be tailored to their community needs or their organization's needs. So I'll put details at the end. Then if you need support with that, then we've got funding, so it would be free advice, and we're looking to recruit organizations at the moment, and that's those taster sessions are aimed at giving you an idea of what we can bring. So I will start chatting, but we've got today also Lizzie Moran from the Midlands Arts Centre. So Lizzie is Head of Technical Resources and Green Champion at the MAC, and she will shortly share their experience of reducing waste within their team. But before Lizzie, then I'll give you a quick tour of Northfield Eco Centre, which is Eco Birmingham's office based in Northfield. And I will point throughout the presentation at easy steps we've taken to ensure we're minimizing our usage of resources and maximizing the reuse and recycling of materials wherever possible. And also not forgetting engaging our staff, visitors, and service users throughout the journey. That's what we're here for. We want to provide an example of best practice to our staff and visitors. So to give you a bit of background, Northfield Eco Centre was set up like over 10 years ago as a sort of showroom of all things sustainable. So we've got lots of displays, energy saving displays and features throughout the office, which I won't go into. It's not my specialty, and the energy session was yesterday, but we've got all these. And we're also lucky to have a little garden, which has been maintained by staff, volunteers, and a group of home educating families throughout the years. We are not a showroom anymore. Now the space is more a bike hub and office space. However, this providing an example, we still have visitors coming for some of the activities like cycling activities or children's activities, gardening activities. So they go through the room. So we still have some visitors coming here, and yeah, so it's still important to us that everybody is on board. So now I'll take you through then some of the steps. I'll start with yeah, showing you a bit of the office furniture and what we do with stationery. So before Northfield Eco Centre was set up, it was a model railway shop, and the first thing we've been doing when it was refurbished is reusing some of the woods that were part of the shop before. So this picture on the left shows our reception area, and all the woods here were actually shelves from the previous shop. So it was important to us to reuse as much as possible. The desks on the right are all second-hand, or they've been donated. So again, none of the furniture has been bought new, so it's either second-hand from charity shop, although we've also seen at the beginning we were buying a lot from charity shop, but they were all different and it was difficult to fit them in our office. So these now we were lucky to have a donation from Aston University when they were refurbishing their office, so they kind of matching a bit more now, and also better for our needs now, for because we've grown as an office. So yeah, so refurbishing with existing materials or using second hands was quite important to us. Then we've got a leased printer in the office, which is quite useful for the maintenance side of things. So the company is quite good at helping maintaining the printer. Our cartridges will be recycled in the box provided, recycled appropriately. And then what's important also to us, although nowadays I know that most of organizations are cloud-based, so our printing needs have reduced a lot. So there's no, we all online, and that has taken a lot of printing off our tasks. However, whatever we print, we ensure we print on 100% recycled paper. That's definitely a step we are keen on, just for the fact that we don't want any more trees to be cut. And we're far from, I mean, the paper, you wouldn't see the difference. We're far from the days when recycled paper was a bit brownish and little bits. So that's definitely something. So 100% recycled paper and envelopes, or we even reuse envelopes if appropriate, depending whom we are writing to. That's another thing we're doing. I think we can move, yeah, another thing in our little office is that we've taken, we don't have any little bins under the desk, which is sometimes people just tend to throw everything there. So if they're under the desk, so we've got one common area for our recycling and other bins, which I'm coming now because it's part, we are a small office, as I said, and it's not far. So for us to walk there, it's in the kitchen area. And we've got a contract with a waste management company, and they provide us with the collection of mixed recycling. So as you can see on the picture on the left, and what we've done, so we've put signs everywhere because it's not just for staff, it's for visitors as well. So we want visitors, volunteers to be informed about what to think about their choices of where to throw what. So we've got this big green recycling bin, and beside we've got the tiny bin, which is for everything, and there's a little sign saying for anything else. Have you thought about, can it be recycled, can it be composted? If not, it goes to the landfill, and we've kept it small just to make people think, yeah. But most we end up with most of the materials, I mean, can be recycled or composted. So we, as I said, are quite lucky to have a garden, so we can put our, we've got this little on the picture on the right, the little kitchen caddy for composting for all our organic matters. But and I know not all organizations will have a garden. However, all organizations will have like tea bags, coffee grounds, any organic waste at the end of the day. So it's just such an important thing. So maybe thinking about alternative ways, maybe linking up with community gardens who might accept compost, or yeah, or even if you just have like some little planters outside, I mean, the compost would be useful for these planters. So I think this is yeah, something we're keen to promote as well. The composting, this is quite a big amount of waste in an office. So that's those pictures here. And continuing to reduce our waste. So we've got a contract with a milk delivery service, so who provides milk in glass bottle rather than plastic. Again, if you count how many plastic bottles would be produced at the end of the week, then it might be worth then thinking about a contract with a delivery service. They also do alternative milk, so for vegan staff and customers, and all our, because again we a small office, all our cutlery, it's all like reusable, so we don't use disposable cutlery, plates or anything. And we've got also, when we order things, so it's just like the stationery, we ensure that we've chosen the suppliers for their eco-friendly credentials. So for the papers, that's ensuring they do 100% recycle, but also that they minimize the packaging when they deliver. So that's important. For tea and coffee needs, for us it's important because we're composting, so it's important that there's the tea bags are plastic free, that we try to get organic, fair trade if possible, of everything we order. So that's something I'll come back as well, because the cleaning products is the same as well. Yeah, and as I said, no, we don't have any disposable cups or mugs. Our on the right, the picture on the right shows our kettles. So again, it says on the label, only boil the water you need, and we've chosen also like energy efficient appliances. So yeah, if you buy new, then it's worth looking into that. And the last person to leave the office is responsible to ensure that all the appliances are turned off at the plug. So it includes appliances in the kitchen, but also all our IT, our Wi-Fi is turned off. So everything is turned off at the plug, except for the fridge, but otherwise everything goes at night. So that's our kitchen area. We also, to reduce our plastic, so we also refill station, and we also the refill Birmingham champion for the city, so representing the national. So if you haven't heard about refill, so I know the MAC is also a refill station, and we started the Refill Birmingham campaign, I think in 2018. So, and the campaign, in the campaign, we encourage more businesses and community organizations, cafe, restaurant to become refill station. Now, as individual, then if you're walking in the city center, you can download the Refill app and then see which restaurant, which organization is a refill station, and just go with your refillable bottle into the building and get your refill. So again, this is an easy step, but having this sticker and encouraging your staff to do this. However, I mean, the staff could also, I suppose, just have a glass of water, but just preventing, buying single-use plastic bottle of water or any other drink is quite an easy step to do. And it might also bring new people inside your building. You never know if you open for visitors, so it might has its advantage there. I think we're moving to our bathroom area. So again, the signs for information and to give the people the choice of, and I know nowadays, I mean, with hygiene concerns are a bit bigger, so we don't have the towel at the moment anymore. And for bigger organization, I don't think it would make sense. However, we do have recycled paper towels, which we can compost in the little bin on the picture on the right. So this is for us, this works really well, which means there's barely any waste there. So yeah, and as I was mentioning also before, so our cleaning products, so we used to be able to refill our bottles from a shop close by. We're not able to do this anymore. However, there are alternatives now, new shops opening where you can get your refill for cleaning products, for anything basically, like the Clean Kilo in Digbeth and Bourneville. We are not doing this. We are buying in bulks. But this is something we used to do in the past, and that we might want to restart. What prevents us is the need for the cleaning products. Somebody has to go there. Somebody has to get the containers refilled. So it's just thinking about this, but there is the possibility to do this depending on the size of the organization, I guess. So that's our, I think that's our little office gone. So you see, we're pretty small, and that's the way. So with little signs that we're trying to keep our visitor, our staff engaged, but we also deliver activities. So within the communities, some are in this building, but some are external. And the few pictures I've got are from activities we deliver. So again, when engaging with the community, whatever, and I know we are an environmental charity, so this is our aim to try and raise awareness about minimizing our impact. However, I think it's everybody's responsibility nowadays to do the same. So, so whatever steps you can do, whatever service users or staff or volunteers you can get on board, the better. So the images I've got afterwards are showing, for example, we have some crafts activities going on. So again, it's reusing materials, trying not to buy too much of new, and it's always much more fun to look for what could become an egg box, what could become your cereal box than buying anything new? So these are a few of the activities we have, just reusing the materials we have. And we have gardening activities, again, yeah, showing that we try to get everything reusing, and also using our compost once it's ready. And we used to have a group, a sewing group meeting on a weekly basis at the Eco Centre. They haven't restarted yet, but again, to engage them into the whole process of minimizing our impact. We encourage them to create some tote bags. So we had some donated fabric, but they also had their own. So on the picture on the right shows like all the tote bags that were made by mostly ladies during that group. So these can be purchased against a little donation. So it helps with a little bit of fundraising, but it's mainly also a message, and that's to remind people. And I think this will get easier as the cost of plastic bag anyway, and plastic bag will be banned soon, so or they've been. So this, I think it's already becoming a habit for everybody then to get their fabric bag or their reusable bag in their bags. So and that's it about yeah, about us. The last picture is just also showing that when we organize community events, we also want this is not a very good picture, I didn't have any other, but it's just to show that we're trying there as well to encourage people to think about the impact. It's not always working at community events, and sometimes we end up having to sort out the bins, which is not very pleasant. However, it's just continuing. If everybody is doing this, it's just becoming, yeah, that what everybody should do basically. And people are doing this at home, so there's no reason why they wouldn't do this at community event when they are in the park and everywhere. So we're giving them this option, and that's it. So that's it. And yeah, if you would like more information about the program, the Environmental Community Learning Program, and whether it's just one little step, because it can sound sometimes like a bit overwhelming if you're starting from scratch, like climbing a mountain. However, as you can see, they are all very easy steps. I'm sure many of the organizations are already doing more sometimes, or at least some of the steps. But yeah, so we are looking at recruiting organizations. So if you're interested in being part of the program, then please get in touch. So there's an email here, jackie@ecobirmingham.com. And yeah, now I'll pass up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to pass on to Lizzie, who will talk about the steps the MAC has taken in the past few years.
So my name's Lizzie Moran. I'm Head of Technical Resources at Midlands Arts Centre. So I'm oversee the various technical departments. I also do facilities management here, but for the purposes of this, I'm in charge of the bins. So just to give you a little bit of a background about Midlands Arts Centre, we're an arts centre. We're based in Cannon Hill Park in Edgbaston, just opposite the cricket ground. We're a large multi-use space. So we've got theatre spaces, both indoor and outdoor. We've got a cinema. We've got art galleries. We run our own cafe and catering department. And also we've got quite a big course program, so you can do everything here from pottery to dance to jewelry making, painting, all of that sort of stuff. So we're a very busy space. In non-COVID times, we welcomed about 1 million visitors a year, because we were just open to the park, so quite a lot of general public just coming through. which obviously brings its own challenges. So that's a little bit about the building itself. I'm also a member of the Green Champions group, and I think this is something that organisations can, it's kind of the first step really on the journey, is to get a group of people together to talk about the environmental issues or the sustainability in the building and what you can do about them. We had a bit of a hiatus for the Green Champions group. Obviously last year we reformed in about February, and I think we've got really engaged people from all across the organisation in all departments, and I really want to keep the momentum of that group going, because people are really thinking more about sustainability and really being really engaged with it. So the waste strategy is part of that. We've got an environmental action plan, which we've just revamped as well for this year, with quite specific targeted things on it specifically for this year. I found the old action plan just had some ongoing things, yes, we're already doing that, and yes, we might look at this, but actually I think it's more valuable when you say, right, we are going to do this by this date, and if you don't do it, then or you can progress and just take it off if you can't do it and think of something else, that sort of thing. So there's a few things that there is a specific part of the environmental action plan which is about waste and recycling, which it's mainly me in charge of that, but there's a few other people who've got responsibilities there. So we're on I think a much bigger scale than the Eco Centre. We're quite a big building. We're a public building. We've got lots and lots of waste. So we have to think about how best we can manage that. At the moment, our waste management contractors, they take all of our general waste in one, and it goes off and gets sorted off site, and the stuff that isn't recyclable gets incinerated. It's called RDF, refuse derived fuel, so it gets incinerated, turned into electricity. It's not a brilliant system. It does avoid anything going to landfill, but it means your recycling rate's relatively low in that system, because they only pick out the things they can reuse and everything else gets burnt. So I've been trying to look at that and see if we can separate out a few waste streams, because that'll increase our recycling rates. So very recently, we've just got a glass bin, for example. We have got a massive cardboard bin, a skip in the yard, and that tends to get well used. It's all the cardboard packaging, loads of cardboard boxes come through, and that all gets picked up and taken away. More recently as well, I've got our waste company to give us another bin for paper waste, because what happens is the waste in clear plastic bags can't go in the big cardboard skip, but they can go in the other skip. So it's really thinking about what you're throwing away and then what you can do with it and how you can separate it out. And that's kind of the first step I'm taking in what I'm doing, which is a bin audit of the entire building, which is quite involved. One other thing that we do get collected is batteries, and that's relatively easy to set up, because batteries are actually got a value in being recycled. So there's lots of companies who will collect batteries for free because they've got a value in being reused. That used to be the case more with cardboard as well, because cardboard can be recycled and it's got a value, but the price of used cardboard's really gone down recently. I've noticed that a lot of the public cardboard skips used to get in supermarket car parks have all disappeared, and I think that's probably because it's not worth recycling anymore. I mean, stuff like plastic's got a very, very, there's no value in it at all, because it's a lot cheaper to make plastic from new than recycle it. So that we have got a problem with where it goes after it's been recycled. So obviously I've talked about some of the challenges. Surprisingly enough, not everybody cares about bins as much as I do. So getting people on board just to think about where they're putting in the right bin and what then we do with it, including the cleaning staff, because they just want to, their job is to empty the bins, and actually trying to convince them to kind of go, no, this goes in this bin, and don't just lump it all in one. It's an ongoing struggle, should we say. But I did mention I'd be doing a bin audit, which is something that I'm looking at over the next few weeks, especially for the public space bins. So it's getting rid of all the individual bins in the individual studios and meeting rooms, and having more in public spaces and more recycling options in those spaces. And also I need to try and make that look pretty, because we're an arts centre, so that's another challenge. Clearly labelled, but still pretty, and bins are surprisingly expensive for so that's kind of what we do with the waste that we do generate. But actually the the waste hierarchy, you may have heard, goes reduce, reuse, recycle, and that's in order of priority. So recycling's right at the end, really. You should look at reducing your waste and reusing things before you get to recycling. So that's kind of where we're looking at, especially in terms of our catering department. Now, we've just relaunched a new restaurant. It's lovely, but it's now all table service, which we didn't have before, which means that there's a lot less disposables, because if you're sitting at a table, you're using crockery and cutlery, and none of that's, all of that is reusable. It also means that staff have a lot more control over the food waste. Oh, I should mention, we don't have a compost bin. I think where we are, between a park and a river, we can't really do that with the amount of waste we generate and the amount of pests that might attract. So we do have a compost collection every week, and that goes over to anaerobic digestion. So the food waste, we've got more control over where the food waste goes, because the staff are collecting it from the tables. We've also got rid of all the plastic sauce sachets that we used to have in the old cafe, which I hated, but we didn't have a better solution for it at the time. So that means in the restaurant itself, there's a lot less being thrown away, and we've got a bit more control over where all that stuff goes. When we start the takeaway offer, so at the moment we're doing a very limited takeaway service, but when we can reopen further, we will be doing a takeaway offer, and we've actually got an ambition to reduce, have a totally plastic-free takeaway offer. Now, it's quite a high ambition, that. So we will be monitoring whether we can meet that target, including stuff like crisp bags and confectionery and all the things that can wrap in plastics. But it's quite a good ambition to aim for. However, this is another caveat, that is based on using vegware disposables, so bioplastics. And I did want to say a little bit about bioplastics and whether they're not really a brilliant solution or not, because essentially they're still plastics. They're made of plants, they're not made of oil, so that's better, but they're a polymer. They're the same thing, more or less. And in order to break them down, they need very specific composting conditions. So you can get a specific vegware collection or bioplastics collection, and they'll go off to a specific composter at really high temperatures of up to 60 degrees, and then it will break down. But if it just gets chucked in a normal bin and doesn't have that specific collection, it'll just be the same as a normal plastic, and it will probably contaminate other plastic recycling streams. And if you drop it in the park next to us, it won't decompose, it won't compost. So, I think quite a lot of people are embracing bioplastics as a solution to say, oh, we've solved the plastic problem, but actually it just brings its own challenges. So I hope that we'll be reviewing as an organisation actually whether it's worth doing if we can't close the loop and recompost them. Takeaway disposables is a bit of an intractable issue. You can use this the boxes, takeaway boxes, is something called bagasse, I think, and it's made of coconut husk. That's compostable. That's great. That's a really good solution. But again, bioplastics, jury's still out on whether it's worth continuing with it. Right, I just want to finish up by talking about some of the more unusual waste streams we've got. And actually this is about you understanding what, as a company, the waste that you generate. So I mentioned the pottery classes. Clay is something that we can recycle when it's wet. Basically, if there's unused clay that hasn't been fired in the kiln, we just bung it all back in a big clay container, and then it's someone's job to squish it all back down again, rebag it up, and then that can go back reused. So we recycle tons of clay, literally tons of clay every year, by doing that. However, once it's been fired in a kiln, you can't reuse it, you can't really do anything with it. And that any clay that's been fired and customers don't want and they don't pick up, that gets put in with the general waste, because there's not really an awful lot else you can do with it. So again, reduction is the key, and educating our learners a little bit to help them understand, if you don't want to keep this, don't send it for firing. If you're not going to collect it, because of course the big gas kilns generate quite a lot of gas energy as well, so it's an energy saving. We're firing stuff that isn't going to be taken away, and also if it's not taken away, we have to get rid of it. So it's about people understanding, reducing those things. A couple of things we've started recently doing, very recently. We have loaded galleries, as I mentioned. quite often the walls change colour quite often, with very specific paint colours, because it really depends on the exhibition that we've got. They generate, you know, they want very specific colours. And we often have paint left over. So we've got in touch with an organisation called Community Repaint, where we can donate the paint to, and then they will send them to communities who aren't as specific as us as what colours they want. But, you know, any unused, unopened tins, or any tins that are more than about 3/4 full, they will take those. So our gallery technicians just started doing that, which is brilliant. And just a really unusual one that, as that again, one of our music leader team, we've got a company called a department called Matt Makes Music, which does music with disadvantaged young people mainly. They've come up with a guitar string recycling, because apparently guitar strings are really, you know, they're made of a few different things and they're quite difficult to recycle. So they've got in touch with an organisation called the Guitar Wrist, as in your wrist, and they make jewellery out of used guitar strings, and we're going to try collecting guitar strings and send them off to those. So it's worth, you know, first of all understanding which waste you're generating, and then really having a look out there and see if there's anyone doing anything with those things. So I think that's probably enough from me. I think I've gone on for long enough. I mean, Matt is by no means perfect in terms of waste management. I don't want to say, oh yes, we've solved it, but I think more engagement and more awareness that it is an issue that we need to solve together is an important step forward. Thanks very much. That's it.